They say I was held here in the older room. What the actual... On the way there on the train, I decided to do some abstract doodles. This was on Friday evening. This is the hotel. We got there in the evening due to some issues with transport, so we headed straight out to dinner. This stone talks about cheese and pickle sandwiches, which are a British staple, and I have fond memories of them from childhood, so I still eat them. Here's a famous Art Deco cinema. Here I am showing you Margate seafront and beach. Welcome to this week's vlog. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment the video. After a nice walk along the beach, we went to have breakfast in this nice traditional English cafe. It reminded me of the 90s because of the way it was decorated, the food they served, and also how much everything cost because it was very good prices. This is a version of what an English breakfast looks like, but it usually includes some type of eggs. Directly outside of the cafe was this second-hand bookshop, which I loved, and I'll show you the inside of later on. I loved the historic quarter of Margate. All the shops and restaurants were very colourful and interesting. This square was completely full the following day because of the sun. I'm just admiring the old architecture and street lights of these roads. It was so nice to have a break from work since I've been working non-stop. This building was from the year 1690, no wonder it was so beautiful. Then we turned a corner and found this Tudor house from 500 years ago. Unfortunately, it was not open due to renovations. However, I didn't care because just standing there and taking in all its beauty was enough for me. And I stood and recorded it in the pouring rain for you all. The thing about UK life is that every corner you turn there is something quite significantly old, especially in London where there are lots of Roman ruins, but the Roman ruins are across the country as well. So we do take it for granted, but I do always stop and take in the sights because it is magnificent and beautiful. Then we passed a house that had all of these bobbly head things on their window ledge, and I just had to stop and film it all because it was obviously for the public, which I thought was so kind and funny. I liked how this building was painted because it was so creative and different. I also thought that these wires echoed the webbing in the painting of the building. Then we arrived to the place that has been on my bucket list for years. Grade 1 listed Shell Grotto. This is the mascot for Margate, and she's literally called the Shell Lady. Before you go inside the grotto underground, you could touch this panel that was recreated for you to get an idea of what the walls feel like inside the grotto. Here's what the exhibition said before we entered the grotto itself. Shell Grotto was found in 1835. The chalk walls are studded with 4.6 million shells. They create a magical mosaic of strange patterns and symbols. Nobody knows if this was a place of worship or a secret meeting place or an extravagant folly. A folly is something that aristocrats made on a whim just for fun. So we don't know who built this place or why. The first paying customers came to this location in 1838. They date the grotto back to the 1600s. It is one of a kind for its mystery. Some experts believe it is an ancient temple, and others believe it was a meeting place for secret societies. And some people believe it was for pagans. Others believe it was for the folly of aristocrats. However, the folly theory was shown to be untrue because it was nowhere near aristocratic land. It was actually on the land of poor people, so they don't believe it was aristocrats. It's covered in soot from the days where oil lanterns were used. The exhibition says that prior to its official opening to the public, children actually found this cave under the ground much sooner than the adults who owned this land at the time. And the children, it is reported, would break in and run about with candles in their hands and have fun in this mysterious and magical place. It was only when their parents started to do renovations did the adults find this underground mystery place and open it out to the public for visits. So guys, I'm in the altar room and it says that a seance was held here. I'm not even joking. A seance held here in the altar room. What the actual... Scary. Here I am pretending to be a djinn for my students. If you know, you know. People have interpreted the pictures created with the shells to be different things. Some include the tree of life, phalluses, gods and goddesses, and something that very much looks like an altar. In the 1900s, there are photographs of this altar room, the room at the very end that opens up the widest, to be host to seances and other dark and paranormal activity. So, I want to hear, what do you think this shelled grotto was, and who do you think created it? Let me know in the comments below. Then we headed back up to the normal world, and the gift shop was extremely colourful and had hundreds of shells on offer, which I loved. And this shell was literally the size of my hand. Then I found these cool flower ornaments that actually pinned to the wall. I really liked the big yellow one at first, but it was too expensive, so I bought a smaller yellow one for the home. Speaking of homes, I loved this little old building. Then I went back to the Tudor house and took some more closer up footage of it for you and for me. I loved all the flowers growing around the house. Some were alive and some were not. I loved this old brick wall. Going closer up to it, I noticed the stocks. Stocks were originally designed as a form of medieval punishment. The stocks are a wooden frame designed to restrain an unlucky individual's hands and head as an example to the public of the consequences of their crime and mischief. Here is some more breathtaking architecture. I actually love walking in the rain, especially where there's old things around me. I find it very atmospheric, and I love this season. It's my favourite season. I love this cool old town hall building and this lovely square. And down there is the ocean. This cafe had a funny name, and we actually had breakfast here the following day. We absolutely loved this bookshop. We went in and the selection of books were perfect, even though the store is really small. I didn't buy anything, but I did buy books the following day. Then we hopped into this traditional sweet shop. We call candies sweets in the UK, and Australians call them lollies, which is weird. But this is how they would have looked in the Victorian era, and I like it when they keep it with the history, and I just bought some souvenir candy for one of my students, and I also bought some for myself. I ate some candy back at the hotel room and then promptly got a migraine and threw the candy away. Nougat is usually my fave. Whilst at the hotel taking a break from the rain and trying to recover from my migraine, I sketched my day and I went into a lot of detail with the shell grotto, as you can see. I really enjoyed drawing the food, like the English breakfast and the coffee. Also, the biscuit was a throwback for me, the cookie. I loved that massive shell that was the size of my hand. I also drew these flowers that are from my vlog. So if you look through the vlog, you will spot these flowers with raindrops on them. I think this is my favourite spread from the trip. I really enjoyed it, and I think I took the most time with it. The other spreads I did very quickly, especially the last one. You'll see what I mean. I also kept it minimal and took one pencil with me so that I wouldn't waste time trying to figure out what I'm doing, basically. And this worked. Then I got ready again to head out to dinner. This was my outfit of the day. I love this bit of brutalist architecture. I think it's social housing, or at least it probably used to be. The Margate clock tower was created for Queen Victoria's Jubilee, and I just love it. It's a stunning piece of architecture, and it reminds me of my old neighbourhood in North London where we had a very similar clock tower. Someone famous lived here. Then we had dinner at the most highly rated Italian place in town. I did like this, but it was not spicy enough, and I did ask for it to be spicy. Whilst at the restaurant, I did sketch my view. So this is my view of the wall I was looking at in the restaurant. I really enjoyed making this, and it gave me something to focus on whilst waiting for the food to arrive. I love the ocean at night time. Margate was atmospheric at night time on this Saturday evening. Breakfast at the Greedy Cow the next morning was amazing. The pancakes and coffee were so good. Here I am inside the second-hand bookshop where I found 3 classics that were extremely inexpensive and in great condition that I bought here, and I was so happy that I found this shop. Then we walked to the seafront and the harbour. Sunday was full sun all day, completely clear skies. It was a complete contrast from Saturday's pouring rain that didn't stop. I enjoyed both types of weather, and I was glad that we had this forecast on this weekend. Here are all the boats racing. a lighthouse, extremely happy to be alive. Here are all the friends and family of the racers. Here's the statue of Shell Lady again. I loved seeing these boats when the tide is out. It just looked very interesting and made me want to draw them. That odd-shaped building over there is the Margate Art Gallery. I didn't have time to go this trip, but I would like to come back one day to visit. It is free, so if you ever visit Margate, you can go in there for free, which is great. This statue was made by famous artist Anthony Gormley, who I had the pleasure of meeting, and he's famously known for his Angel of the North statue, which is up north in England. Then we checked out this Victorian old market and it was lovely. Then we headed to this old fish and chip shop. Now, we don't know if this is just for display because there is no entrance. There is nowhere to cook, but a famous photographer called Martin Parr took photos of Margate, England, which made Margate famous. Actually, I think this might be the exact fish and chip shop from his photos. Then it was tea time and we headed into Margate Coffee House to have some tea and warm up, and I took the opportunity to sketch my view again. So this picture on the left is what I drew. I drew my partner and all the things around him. I really enjoyed doing the chair and tables, and then I made sure I didn't press too hard when doing the background so that the focus would be more in the middle and forefront of the drawing. Drawing from life is one of my favourite things to do. Sometimes I get a bit nervous when sketching outside because I worry about people looking at my work, but I really didn't mind here. Then it was time to greet the ocean for the last time before slowly heading back into the big bad city. I really love the ocean and feel very connected to it. And I really, really love nature and the countryside in general. So I do miss it when I'm away from it. That's why I like to go all the way up to the water, even though it's freezing cold. Then it was time to hit the arcade and I had a blast. Oh. What? That went in and bounced out. Here I am showing you my score at table hockey. I've never played it before, but I won. That's my score on the right. Then we played a Transformers shooting game and it was very stressful, but I was good at it. There were 3 arcades along the waterfront and we went to each and every one of them. Then we played a Jurassic Park shooting game in another arcade. This one was more stressful, but I was still good at it. I think I was slightly less good than in the Transformers game. I'm so confused. My ducks aren't moving. Am I meant to be on that side? All the target. I'm so confused. On the train ride home, I visually journaled the final day in Margate. So as you can see, I drew the Queen Victoria's Jubilee clock tower that I was in love with. I drew one of the blue plaques for famous person Karl Marx. And then I focused the rest of it on the amusement arcades because we spent a lot of time playing in all of them. And I had a lot of fun in them too. So I really hope you enjoyed my visual journaling and this excursion of an artist. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to share the video, like, subscribe. Only 30% of you that watch these videos are actually subscribed. So go ahead and click the subscribe button if you like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.